almost time for Dragon Tales. Come along, take my hand. Let's all go to Dragonland. There's Ford, he's the biggest, not the brave of heart.
Hi, my name is Makasi, and today we're gonna talk about names. But first, the game. So I am gonna tell you the name of two coats. What I want you to do is to just tell me like which one would you buy based on the name alone. You don't know the price tag, you don't know the brand, you don't know what it looks like. Just buy the name alone. So here we go. So first coat is called Coat in Lightweight Wool with Padlock. The second coat is called the Jumbo Tatten Coat in Cotton Organdy. So just based on the names alone, which one would you buy? Coat in lightweight wool with padlock or jumbo tatten coat? Just by the name alone. No looks, no price. Just assume the price is the same. It's from the same brand. But which one would you buy? I personally would pick the Tatlin coat. You know, Tatlin coat, it reminds me of the Tatlin Tower. Tatlin Tower was this big monster of a constructivism looking tower that was meant to be built from like industrial materials. This tower was meant to be built after the Russian or the Soviet Union Revolution, but due to money problem, which is essentially that they were broke, the Soviet Union was broke after they overthrew the SARS. So after they were through the SARS, like they didn't have any money, so the tower was never built. You know, this tower was meant to be built to be able to compete against the Eiffel Tower, and it was supposed to represent like modernity in the eyes of like the post-Soviet or not post-Soviet, in the post-revolution Soviet Union. But it just due to budget reason, they didn't build it. So, but once again, there's a story to this coat. You know, the name Tatlin is just more attention grabbing than like just a brief description of a coat with padlock. You know, without knowing what these two jackets or coat look like, when I think about a Tatlin coat, I think about like something strong, something powerful, intimidating, and like something that's gonna challenge the conventional, in the same idea that the Tatlin Tower was supposed to challenge the status quo, which was the Eiffel Tower. When I go on a website and when I see the words coat in lightweight wool with padlock, I think about like a marketing department that's not that creative and that couldn't come up with like a name that would add more narrative to this coat that they spent months in like the R&D stage. Like they spent so much time creating this coat, but then they just named it like any other coat. Alright, so now that we talked about it, let me show you the coat now. So this is the Tatlin coat right here, and this is the padlock coat. They're not like standout pieces or standout pieces. They're just regular looking coats, but it just, the name Tatlin like drew me, and I'm assuming drew your attention to that coat more so than the padlock. Even if you did like the padlock detail more so than the Tatlin coat, it's just like the name is so basic, it doesn't stand out. Whereas Tatlin, you know, it's screaming power. Let's say you go on Nordstrom website, right? Most of the description are going to be like that, like a tan blazer, a lightweight polyester blend blazer, or a jacket made from wool and polyester blend. Like it just, the description of the padlock is just so generic that it doesn't stand out among thousands and thousands of coats from that retailers. It's not attention grabbing enough for me to like just want it based on the name alone. And you know, when you're spending like a lot of money, like $1,000, $2,000 plus on a coat, you know, you want it to have like a story, and you want to have like a name also to it. You know, it doesn't have to, but if it did have a name, it'd be great. It will add more to the narrative of this coat. It will continue the story that the designer wanted to tell through this coat. The game part is over, so let's talk about it. Names. Names are very important, you know? Your ear perks up, you know, when somebody says your name. Or let's say you're dating a girl and she's a Wiccan, and like, you know, she said, hey man, last night I was doing a seance with my friend and then we said your name. You'd be like, it was a good thing, right? Like, you put a good spell on me? Even if it was bad, even if it was good, like you want to know because names are important. Okay, so let's connect it to fashion now. Brand names are very important. So let's look at this for example. So Hermes Hermes is named after the Greek god, you know, a divine messenger to the god. Let's look at Tesla in the automobile industry. Tesla is named after Nikola Tesla. He was known as the inventor, as a mechanical engineer, as an electrical engineer, and as a futurist. Like that's the tagline that goes along with Nikola Tesla. So the founder of Tesla, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Okay, yeah. So Martin and Mark, like they chose the name Tesla because what they're gonna do to the automobile industry, it's gonna revolutionize that industry because 99.9% of the automobile industry was like gas, you know, 99.9%. And then there's like a few off-brand electric car, but like Tesla made it cool. Tesla made electric car cool and modern and decent looking and looks like a car, you know. Electric car prior to Tesla, it looks like shit. Tesla made cars that are, you know, that looks like car. They just made good cars that so happen to be an electric car. You know, Tesla Motor was supposed to represent the next step in the automobile industry, and it's a perfect name, you know, it fits perfectly. And on top of making electric car cool, they're gonna make it available to like the general public. Like it's gonna be priced accordingly. Like the Tesla Model 3, the car I drive right now, it started off at like $35K, which is like cheaper than most Audi and Mercedes. It's like it's a match made in heaven. It's like this. It's like a wannabe rapper and an Instagram model. Like it's just a perfect match in heaven. What hell? Okay, so that was a few examples of naming and how great the names are. So now let's focus on the name that is bad. So we're gonna look at the movie industry. So I'm sure we all know that DC released Suicide Squad, the 2016 version, and it wasn't that well received. However, there was a character in there that was very, very well received. It was Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn. So DC decided to make a movie based on a character, gave her a solo film. Originally, the name of the movie was Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. No mention of Harley Quinn until the end. You know, attention span. Our attention span is very low. That's why like Jordan Poole movies are named like so short, like Get Out, Nope, Us. Like easy, simple. The moment you see it, the moment you hear it, you get it right away. But now you're making the audience read all of this to only find out that Harley Quinn is like the titular title, the titular character in this film. And on their poster as well, like Harley Quinn is written very small, like on the poster, and it's just a photo of Margot Robbie with a bunch of characters. It's not even like a solo photo of Margot Robbie. So to the general public who don't care, who are not deep into the nerd sphere of like the movies, it's like, the fuck is this movie? Consumer, you know, most consumer, they don't have time for that. They're just gonna read Birds Of and then they're just gonna give up, like, fuck it. Title of this movie, so I'm sure even if it's good, like I'm sure there are movies that are just as good, so we're just gonna go see that one instead. Alright, so originally the movie was projected to make 60 to 70 or 60 to 80 millions on the first weekend. It went on to only do 84.2 million in the entire run domestically in the US. And worldwide it grossed about $201 million, and a report came out, or just, I think it's just on Wikipedia, I was reading on Wikipedia, it says like the film needed to make at least 250 to break even, so they lost money. Like Warner Brothers lost money on this film. The movie, you know, the movie did well critically, but commercially it did terrible, and movie theaters were so concerned that the name Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie was not like big enough on like the official name and poster that they changed the name of the movies after the first weekend because of the low turnout. So they changed the name of Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. Like the movie theater took it upon themselves to rename it because like Warner Brothers refused to rename it. It's the marketing department of Warner Brothers. They fumbled the bag so hard. They didn't know how to market the movie toward the consumer. They just assumed people like, I'm sure they'll know it's Harley Quinn. I'm sure they'll know it's Margot Robbie. No, don't ever assume that. Assume that all consumers are dumb. Feed them as much information as you can. Never assume that they know what you're talking about. Do not trust your audience to know what you're talking about. Never assume. Always throw your net the widest. You're making a movie. You're trying to make the most money possible. Sure, the critical aspect is great, but you know, let's look at Transformer. Every critic hates it, but they make money, so they continue to release sequel after sequel after sequel because they did so well. They marketed the movie well. Anyway, let's bring all that back to fashion. So again, names. I hope I've proven to you that names are very important. And you know, Louis Vuitton, that's a great name. Balenciaga, that's a great name. Yohji Yamamoto, great name. Comme des Garçons, great name. So brand names, like a lot these businesses, they take a lot of time to name their brand. But what I want to focus with this video is that I think they need to dive a little bit deeper and names their individual product. You know, like the naming of the individual product is often forgotten, and you know, most companies tend to ignore it because they lack creativity, or it's just they're lazy. And the most basic excuse possible is that it's too costly, it's too time consuming. Let's just move on. Let's just say it's a wool coat, it's a light wool coat. That's all we need to put. Okay, let's take back to the automobile industry. So Lamborghini, they released an SUV, and they named it Urus. The team at Lambo picked this name Urus based on an old an ancestor of a cow, but the Urus used to be bigger, stronger, more wild. So the team at Lamborghini picked this name for that purpose, to symbolize how strong it is, how big it is, because you know it's their first SUV. It's their first time diving into this subsector of the automobile industry, so they named it the Urus. Now, let's imagine that they name it something like, let's say they name it Justin. Hey man, what are you driving? Oh, I'm driving the Lamborghini, Justin. Really? The Justin? That's like the shittiest of name ever. So they named it Urus. It perfectly symbolizes this humongous nature of Lamborghini. And, you know, Lamborghini is their logo is also a bull. You want the name of your product to further tell your story. You want the name of your product to further add narrative to your story. And I'm not saying that designers haven't done that, but most of them don't. Some of them do. So most designers, they name it after like their heritage, their co-workers, their friends, celebrity, cities. So let me throw up some example right now. So let's just look at bags. Let's just look at designer bags. So Gucci, they have the Jackie bag. They also have the Diana bag.
But I'd been forgotten, now, Joe. I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? But I'd been forgotten, now, Joe. I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Obviously Birkin bag, you know, named after Jane Birkin, and then Loewe, it's a puzzle bag, you know.
Dude! The name of our bar, Puzzles. People will be like, why is it called Puzzles? That's the puzzle.
That is a great name for a bar!
We have established that names are important. Individual names for names of individual products are important. So I have come up with a few reasons as to why I think naming individual product is important. So first one is kind of the most boring one, but it's SEO. So when you individually name your product, your SEO will be better. Analytically, it will look better. when your marketing team looks into it, when your bosses, when your CEO looks into it and look at the traffic that it draws on like Google, whatever other search engine you use. So if you don't know, SEO stands for search engine optimization. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but SEO is like a big subsector of like the e-commerce aspect. Generally speaking, in a company that's really big, let's say Louis Vuitton, they definitely have a team of just like a marketing department that focus purely on SEO, and it's a lot of marketing jargon. I don't want to bore you with it, but essentially it boils down to like how high your website will show up on a search engine. The SEO team of your marketing department will make your website show up high on Google search, and remember, unless it's porn, nobody goes on the second page on a search. Now let's Google Birkin. You don't see the name Jane Birkin until the very end, and it's tiny. It says, oh, maybe you want to search up Jane Birkin instead of a Birkin bag. So that's how great the SEO is for like the team at Hermes. They did it so well that when you Google Birkin, a name of a person, their bag shows up first. Another great example is, let's look at Rick Owens. So let's look at GeoBasket. Let's Google GeoBasket real quick. See that? Like instantly on the top, and the whole first page is all GeoBasket because the name is great. The individual name is great. So if you Google Rick Owens footwear, like a lot more things will show up. Like the Ramon might show up, the Birkenstock collaboration might show up, the VHOT collaboration might show up, like all their boots. But when you Google GeoBasket without the name Rick Owens, like the shoes will come up. That's how great the name is. So that's why it's important to individually name your product. If you give Google another keyword to help them search, it will recognize that you're trying to get to this place right there, which is your website or your retailer, over like your competitors. So the more keyword you give to Google, the better your search will become. Okay, so my second reason, you wanted to make it as easy as possible for your consumers to find your product. Let's just say like I saw a Raf Simons hoodie on Instagram on one of the FitPics, one of the accounts that I follow, and he just tagged Raf Simons, and it just says Raf Simons hoodie because the hoodie doesn't have a name. So I'm gonna go on Google, I'm gonna search up Raf Simons hoodie, and all of his hoodie will show up, not that individual piece that I want, that I saw and want to see more of. So when I Google Raf Simons hoodie, I want to see all of his hoodie, and then when I get frustrated, because eventually I will, because we have low attention span, I have low attention span, so when I don't see what I want to see right away, I'll just give up on it. So that's a potential sale right there for Raf Simons. But due to the fact that the hoodie doesn't have a name, I gave up on it. So I stopped searching, or while I'm searching for that Raf Simons hoodies, Google recommended me like similar product, and then I saw a hoodie from Rick Owens, I saw a hoodie from Margiela instead. So then I go on to buy the Margiela hoodie instead. So then that's one sale lost right there. Yeah, so like if that hoodie has an individual name, it'll be easier for me, the consumer, to find that hoodie and to buy that hoodie. Okay, so let's say the hoodie does have a name, and I Googled it, Raf Simons Piss Cunt. Raf Simons Piss Cunt hoodie. Let's say I found it, and I found it on rafsimons.com, on their official website. I know that Raf don't sell clothes. Anyway, just besides the point. Let's say I found it on their website. I'm gonna be on the website. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna read the description. While I'm on there, the website is tracking how long I'm staying on there, what category I'm staying on. And while I'm on the website already, since I found this hoodie that I love from this designer, I might as well look around and see what else they sell, and that's more online traffic. These data will inform the marketing department and the business at large on what they can do next year to further increase their revenue. Like the time spent on a website, it's being tracked by the website itself. So like, let's think of it this way. Let's think about foot traffic in a physical store. Like, you want your consumer to be in your store, because when the consumer is in your store, there's a higher chance that they'll browse, and then there's a higher chance that they'll buy something. But if you can't attract people to go into your store, like, the chances of them buying something is a lot lower. So you want the foot traffic, you want people to just be on your website. That's data you can use. That's time spent at looking at your product. So then there's just a higher chance for them to spend their money if they're on your website or if they're in your store. Okay, and another thing, let's look at it this way. So Raf Simons is being carried by a bunch of retailers like Nordstrom, Saks, Matches Fashion, Essence, right? So when you Google the name of this hoodie, if it has a name, when you Google it, you'll say you go on Essence, right? Essence, the buyers at Essence will have this data to look at for next season. They're like, okay, a lot of people, a lot of our consumers are looking at Raf Simons. Let's buy more product from Raf Simons because like we need to meet our demands. We need to meet the demand. So this is all data that you can use to further increase your revenue. These stores, like they will look at all these data, and these data will inform their buyers or help their buyers on what to buy next year to bring more revenue for the company. So all of this will help. Like individual name will help. If you're the designer and then like the consumer are looking on the retailer that carry your brand and like they're looking specifically at your page, at your category, at your design, and then it will like these retailers will order more product from your brand because like they're trying to meet the demand. The data told them that there's a big demand for your brand, so it's gonna help you on your own traffic and the retailer traffic. Fashion, high fashion anyway, it's about telling stories, right? So why not extend your narrative further into naming your product? Like why stop at designing the product? Get creative, come up with a name for it, make it relevant, make it connected, give it something meaningful. It will help. Designers or fashion houses, they need to treat naming your product as part of the consumer experience. We don't want Margiela white button-up, Margiela gray cardigan. Give it a name, any name. Just call it the Sarah cardigan, call it the Tokyo cardigan, call it the London shirt. Like give it any name. It's gonna make the experience of looking at the product better, and then it'll be easier to identify. You know what I mean? Like just give it any random name. It doesn't have to be like incredibly creative, you know, just name it something. Give it like, use a city, use a random city, use a street name. Like Rick Owens names a lot of his product, like the Dylan Tee, the Geo Basket, the Ramones, what else? The Kiss boots, the Bad Boy jacket, the Larry jacket. Like he just give them random names, or the banana knit. What else? Like Rick Owens does a great job at naming his product. A few designers are already great at naming their product, and it doesn't have to be anything creative. Any name will work. You know, from the consumer aspect, like oh, make us feel more connected to the product. Wouldn't you feel better when you see your fashion friends who doesn't know about Rick Owens, and then they'll be like, hey, what are those great boots you're wearing? You're like, this is the Kiss boot. Isn't that better to say than this is my Rick Owens high heel black leather boots from spring summer 2022. The Kiss boot, easy, simple, done, and it's catchy. Maybe it's just me, but it makes the experience of wearing these clothes and sharing the experience of owning these clothes with fellow fashion enthusiasts a better experience. Or maybe that's just me, maybe I'm a bit crazy that way, but I think I'm in the right. I hope I'm in the right, otherwise this video is like a waste of time. Okay, another thing, like my Homme Plissé trousers, like they don't have any names, so like, but the nuances between like similar looking trousers makes it very hard to like figure out what this one cut is like compared to the other one. So like, if Homme Plissé, if Issey Miyake and the team decide to give it a name, it'd be easier. Like just say one of the straight-legged trousers, they call it the Tokyo trousers. So that it can be like, this is the Tokyo cut. But instead, all of his trousers